Hello and welcome to another episode of Alex's Afternoon Art Show. Coming to you from what is clearly not the afternoon. This is very much being recorded in the evening, which means this is most likely going to be a shorter one, in theory. I've taken steps to try and make it a shorter one, but you know, things rarely go to plan these days, at least. But just to preface before we actually get into the main meat of the episode, there won't be one of these next week, but yeah, the week after I'll be back because next week is Christmas, so I'm not going to be doing one next week. But there should be a video next week, just not one of these, and not on Sunday. So there'll be something during the week, maybe. Not entirely sure as of yet, but yeah, I'll be back with these the week after next. So, anyways, without further ado, the topic of this week, I'm drawing Poison Ivy, and I'm going to be talking about redesign. Okay, so to save myself a lot of time this evening, I've decided to draw the fair heft of the details before I actually even really sat down this evening to do this. But yeah, so I mean, there's a decent amount of the details already in there, so that's just to save me some time and get this thing moving along reasonably fast. Because I also have to edit it tonight, which is something I don't normally do on, you know, the eve of the drawing. But yeah, I'll kind of get into this now, and then I'll discuss some of my methodology in a little bit. At this point I'm feeling a little bit more reasonably confident when it comes to drawing hair, because it's something I end up doing a lot. So yeah, at this point I feel a little bit more confident about it. Even though I don't think I've necessarily improved a huge amount when it comes to doing it. With the case of where I suppose in this instance it's something of a focus is drawing the hair, but yeah. So I decided to make Poison Ivy's hair a little bit messier, and yeah, I feel like that makes a degree of sense. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think that she would shampoo terribly often, so you'd think it would look a little bit more kind of messy in a sense, bits sticking out and kind of clumps here and there, just kind of splitting and spraying like that. But getting stuck on my words today. And again, it is the evening. I don't normally do these so late, but I didn't get the chance to do it earlier. And I am recording this the day before it is supposed to come out, so yeah, I didn't really get a chance to do this at any other point. And I would have done it earlier, but oh well, here we are. This is the point I'm at. But yeah, I'll kind of get into more of my rationale for the changes I made as I get into the actual body of it. You know, it's funny I brought up the messy hair and coming up with an actual reason for it. But then I've decided to give her give her makeup anyways. You know what? I just wanted to draw messy hair. Let's not think about it too much. I just wanted to draw it. I just wanted to draw it. Here I'm just emphasizing the shape of the lips a little bit more, because since, you know, the lips are pursed, the different little bits of the lips are going to be a little bit more pronounced. You'll see the kind of the curvature of this little bit a little more, stuff like that. You'll see kind of the little wrinkles on the lips, a tad more. Yeah, just little stuff like that. Not really all that noticeable. I maybe even gone a little too far with it here. But yeah, it's just little stuff like that. It's the stuff that makes the whole, so to speak. Okay, now that more of it's in shot, I suppose, I'll touch a little bit on some of the stuff when it comes to the actual design itself. So, I wanted to, with this, kind of... So just kind of a general thing with redesign, I think it's something I've probably said before, is you want to try and find the things that you can't change, and then work around that. With this, it's a case where obviously the stuff like Poison Ivy's hair is red. There's a lot of green in the design. It's generally quite revealing. Stuff like that you can't really change. That's just kind of a general part of the design. And then, you know, there's some redesigns where the whole point is taking those things and then changing them. But generally speaking, you only want to change one of the big things. And here I've changed it so that maybe it's still, I mean, it's part of the character, so it still kind of has to have the kind of femme fatale look to it. But something that I wanted to try and work with was to kind of, I don't know, do something maybe a little different looking, at least, that it looks a little different, still serves the same purpose, but it just looks a little different. And there's little bits which I've kept, like for example, there's this is from Arkham Knight. She has this kind of little like little vine wrapping around her arm. I just think it looks a little bit more interesting, and it kind of asymmetrical design generally catches your eye a little bit more, so just keeping that on the left arm, stuff like that. Trying to think of what else. I decided to give it the idea of it being like an actual outfit, rather than just the kind of the leaf bodice look, because I don't really like that. I feel like it's also hell to draw. There's also a lot going on there, so I decided to change that, just for maybe the sake of making it a little easier to draw. But I decided to, yeah, I don't know, I feel like the belt here makes it look kind of a bit 60s, which I think is kind of fun, but I'm not really fully... Yeah, I mean, I know in that Harley Quinn show they decided to give her like a full outfit there as well, so I suppose it's kind of a bit similar to that, but it's also a bit more of a halfway house, which is kind of what I do usually, is the kind of somewhere between something and something else kind of design principles. But yeah, like I decided to make it look a bit more like an outfit. There it's like a full kind of covered thing. There's it's not exactly very revealing or anything like that, which, I don't know, I mean, it's fine, but it's not really how the character normally looks, so I decided to kind of take something that's a little bit more how the character normally looks and apply some of the stuff from that. But yeah, that's the kind of some of the rationale for the changes I've made throughout this design of my own. I was actually considering doing a kind of a Christmas theme to it, but yeah, since it's that time of the year, but I don't know, I'm not really, I feel like it would have been maybe a bit much. And I've only drawn this redesign of mine I think once, so yeah, I decided to just do it again. There's certain things here with this hand that are probably going to look very weird, and that's mainly the perspective that's kind of causing that issue, because the kind of way that she's got her hand forward, you're going to see like a bit of a kind of a weird look to it, because it's like angled up, but it's also still forward, so it's got like a bit of a weird look to it. Yeah, it's gonna still look a bit strange, I think, no matter really what I do. But yeah, it looks a little odd, but that is unfortunately how this kind of looks. Whenever you've got an angle like this, it's gonna end up kind of looking a little weird. Whenever you're trying to kind of portray that weird perspective. Oh yeah, something which I did last time, which I've kind of forgotten to do, is I put like a little leaf in her hair. Well, this was the last time I drew this design, which was not recent. But yeah, I put like little bits of foliage just like coming out of her hair, so that gave the kind of the plant lady look a little bit more, and the idea that they're kind of like twisting around and moving in their own way. And I also kind of put this like little vine look on her skin, because I don't give Poison Ivy the green skin. I think it's a little much, but I kind of, this is my compromise of where it's like I've put the kind of the impression of it there, of where there's the kind of the vines like, or some of the foliage like pooling out of the hair, that kind of look. But not too creepy, because I feel like there's two different ways that people tend to go when they're designing Poison Ivy, and there's one which is the kind of the creepy, and then there's the other way which is the very sexy look. And then oftentimes people kind of try and do both, but it just ends up looking kind of strange sometimes, and then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, that's just kind of the crapshoot of design as a whole. But yeah, I do this kind of thing where it's kind of like coming out of the hair. Yeah, I think it looks interesting. And then in the color, basically I'll do like a stained green look along the side of her head, and that's kind of the extent of that. Yeah. There's a thing I'm going to do later on, which I'll need to remember to do, because I mentioned before, I always mention this, that I feel like Gotham is a cold place, so it doesn't really make a huge amount of sense for people to be going around half naked, or in anything that is, you know, too light. So these kind of bits here, what I'm going to do is there's a little effect which I've done before. I'm not sure if I've done it in a video before, but basically I'll like color that over so it looks kind of like that legging material, and yeah, something like that. So it kind of keeps the idea of it, but still isn't impractical. Now, I know I mentioned practicality not too long earlier on, and the character does appear to be wearing heels, which are seemingly counter to one another, but practicality is one thing, but then also what makes sense for the character is another thing. So, yes, she is supposed to be wearing heels, but basically the idea is that, I mean, it's the kind of the femme fatale thing. It still makes sense for the character. I feel like it makes more sense than her being barefoot anyways. There's probably some contrived excuse they have for why she doesn't get cold, but yeah, there's probably some excuse they have for it, but yeah. So the kind of idea I had with this design, at least in part, is that you can see from these like little plant bits here that or even like the boots and stuff like that, that it looks like leaves. So the idea is that it's still got, it's not exactly that, it's not just an outfit, and it's not entirely like just leaves. The idea that I had at least is that she still made it from plant stuff, but it's got the look of something which is sort of like clothes, but you know, it's still a costume. I don't really know what I'm saying. It doesn't really look like clothes, but it's a case of where it's got kind of like design elements and stuff like that to it. So it's not just kind of the plant look, but it's also not just kind of clothes. There's kind of something else to it as well, which is why I'm kind of adding in the detailing here of where it's kind of got like a bit of a planty look to it, a little bit of one. But yeah, just something like that. So it's kind of yeah, the kind of the degree of that there. I don't know if what I'm saying is really coming across here. It's late, but yeah, that's the kind of idea for it. It still retains that kind of, oh, the leaf look, but it's not just made of leaves. It's still made from plant material, but not just leaves. That's the idea, at least, of where it's kind of been changed into this, in a sense. I don't know, but yeah. So that's the kind of the detailing done. And you'll notice I didn't put as many creases as I would normally would, and it's because whenever it's something that's skin tight, generally speaking, there wouldn't be many creases. There would be like little creases, like here you'd see where the knee folds, that'd be about it really, but then a lot of that is being covered by the boots. And then there's little creases around here, where like basically around the bend points, around the joints, you'd see little bits of it. Like around here you would see little bits of it, like parts where it wraps around the belt, that's kind of little bits of where you'd see that around the wrist. But generally speaking, it's skin tight, so you wouldn't really be noticing many like intense folds or anything like that. But yeah. Now, next on the agenda is the dots. We're already nearly an hour in, and I've only just done the drawing. But in the same sense, I've been stopping a lot to explain things, so things should maybe speed up from here. But yeah, hopefully this will be a quick one, because again, I do also have to edit this tonight, so I'd rather do that quickly. But yeah. I feel like I used to be much faster at this type of thing. Oh, okay, that's my dots done. So, now we're gonna do the colour. And the colour shouldn't be too difficult, in theory. Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult. I can't see it being very hard, at least. So, what kind of skin color did she have before? Well, it obviously wasn't green. I think I gave her more of a kind of like a rosy complexion. I'm pretty sure I already said this. I genuinely can't remember now at this point. if I've said this during this video or not. It's that kind of time of the night, I suppose. But I think it'll behoove me actually to do the background first, and I think I know what I'm going to do for it. But yeah, I had originally the idea of a design I thought I was going to do was something a bit more kind of in the theme of Christmas. But the idea I had was that it was going to be like the kind of the sexy Santa thing, but I thought that might be, I don't know, a little much. And also, yeah, again, I definitely have said this part at least, I've only really drawn this design once or twice, so I thought it might be fun to do it again. But yeah, so I want to do a background. I think I'm going to go for something of an autumnal color palette. So our darkest is going to be like a reddy brown color. Something like this. I think, yeah, I'm going to want to make it a little brighter, just for the sake of being able to see everything, and then our brightest is going to be kind of a goldy color. I'm going to want to make this maybe a little redder. Maybe a little redder. And then this, maybe a little more on the orange side. So this should work. So what I want to do is I want it to be like that. I think that's what I'm going for. And yeah, thankfully her hair is up here, so whenever I get to the point of coloring in her hair, it shouldn't look weird. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do some changes, probably, to the skin. There's probably bits which I've missed, which I can go and fix now. Now, the eyes, which I'm going to need to make very green. I think that looks good, but yeah, that seems fine. Yep, that's about what I was going for. Okay. Now the hair. Hair, which may take a moment to get the color right of. So generally, whenever I do with Poison Ivy's hair, at least the last time, what I did was I made it kind of ever so slightly on the gingery kind of spectrum, just so that it looks a bit more kind of like a natural hair color. Because I mean, as far as I remember, at least, she's supposed to have naturally red hair, so it would kind of be ever so slightly more on the kind of gingery spectrum. I may need to make this redder. Well, that looks a little better, I think. So, next should probably be the silver, which we won't have to do very much of. I'm going to make it a little further on the green than I normally would, just to keep it in line with everything else. Now, silver. Now, there's two greens going on here, and most of it, well, there's three greens actually, because this is a different green. Most of it is the one kind of core darker green, but yeah, or like kind of middle green. So the belt is a dark green, and I'll kind of do that. I'll do that first, and then I'll do the light green, and then I'll do our mid green, and then I've got to add in our little effects and stuff like that. I want something maybe more middling, so about here. Yeah, no. I decided to do this simply because I'd already done, you know, Harley Quinn and Catwoman, so I said, oh, you know what, screw it, I'll do Poison Ivy as well. Round out that list, because Poison Ivy was actually originally much further down my list of ideas, because I have a very long list of ideas for these videos. And believe it or not, the next one isn't on my list. Oddly enough, I was surprised whenever I had a look, because it wasn't on there, even though most of the ideas that I think of I'd write onto that list. I just must have forgotten to do it, which I thought was a bit strange. So yeah, light green now, which, yeah, we're going to want it to be kind of something a bit paler. But you know, maybe a little bit more, something like that, make it a bit more vibrant because it's living. But yeah, I said I'd just kind of do this to round out that part of the list, and then yeah, I suppose I'll retain the surprise for the next one, which is the week after next. Missed us about there. Already went over there. I was going to say something, but I've kind of forgotten what it was. But yeah, this should also be the lighter green. And then whenever I add in our effects, this is going to be that kind of on that type of light green as well. So now we want the mid green, which I'll just simply call green. See, I can be at least a little bit more haphazard with my application of this, because 90% of the costume is this color. Now, I can close my reference because I don't really need it anymore. I already kind of know what bits I'm going to do, what little bits of kind of extra stuff with. So this is very bright green, but that'll probably get muted by the gradient map that I'll be putting on in a while. But yeah, so something which I want to do, which I thought of there a little while ago, something that might be fun, is to get a red, make it a little bit more red, and then basically this is kind of, I suppose, a little bit inspired by how Poison Ivy looks in Injustice 2, this little idea. So what I'll probably want to do is I'll probably want to color it on normally and then like watercolor. Trying to decide now. I think maybe the watercolor brush might be the way to go for this. I've already got the color. What am I doing? So yeah, basically on the edges of these, well, you'll see what I'm going to do in a second here. I don't necessarily want it to be a smoky brush. What do I want here? Maybe I want something more like this, or do I want something? Oh yeah, let's try this. So basically the idea that I had was that there would be these kind of reddish highlights on the edges of everything here, so that it kind of gives it this idea that it's like it looks more like planty. And I'll kind of go back in and rub out the bits I don't want in a second here, so that it conforms more to the actual shape of this, and so it'd be here as well. Well, we'll see how it looks. I might remove it if I don't like it, but I think it'll work. else did I want to give the red outline to? I think I wanted to do it here as well. So yeah, maybe it has a bit more of like a rose or a flower look to it. I feel like this part maybe needs to be toned down a little bit just in general. This bit is, I think, oops, too much up here. I think it needs to be maybe a little bit more basic up here. Yeah, so it looks kind of like a flower. That's the idea, I guess. But yeah, I think that looks okay. Can always turn it off if I don't like it. I think it looks better with it on. It helps to kind of differentiate the bits here which are kind of, particularly the boots from the rest of the design. I think it helps with. So what else have we got to do? We've got to do a few of these on the skin. So basically what I'm just going to do is I'm going to get my black. This is a clipping mask on there. So I'll turn this down to about 40%. That should work. I might need to make it brighter, who knows? Who knows what the story will be. I need to go back to my normal brush, which is the manga section, and that needs to be turned up to that. So this is how you get this kind of what I refer to as the kind of the legging look, or the tights look is what I mean to say. So that's the kind of really all I do with it anyways. I feel like it maybe needs to be turned down a little further, maybe 25%, so that it looks maybe a little thinner, I guess. Maybe turn it up to 30%, so that there's at least enough difference between that and that. 35? Yeah, because I think 40 is maybe a little too dark, but yeah, that looks better. So what else do we need to do? Do another clipping mask, and so next we need to do the eyeshadow. Whoops, got in way too much here. We need to do the eyeshadow, and we need to do the kind of the head stain. So I need to get the green, and I need to make that a little brighter, and then I need to go back into our watercolor brushes, and I need to find a kind of a smoky brush so that we can kind of just apply that around here. So that's that done at least. I think I probably turned the opacity on that down a little bit the last time. Or wait, no, that's the wrong one. That's this one I need to turn down 80%, because yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's the right one. So about 75. So yes, that's all the colors done. So now I need to do the shading, and then we'll be done. Well, I need to do the gradient map and then the light line, but relatively speaking, we're nearly done. We are nearly 2 hours in, but you know, I would consider this being close to being done. Okay, gotta get back to my brushes now. Again. Alright, there's our darks done. So now we've got to do the lights, and then we're nearing the end. I do try to be conscious of how much I speak in these, and I feel like I haven't spoken very much in this, which in theory will make the editing a little easier, but I don't know, maybe it won't make the video quite as interesting. But yeah, I don't know, I don't really know what more I can add at this point. Most of the kind of conversation topics that I had in my mind were related to design, which I've already kind of gone over now at this stage. But yeah, God, and it is also late, so my brain isn't having it really at this stage. I mean, I've repeated myself a few times at this point, I think, as well. So I've also got light line and everything to do still. But yeah, I think I'm just kind of losing the plot at this stage now. I don't really remember what I was even going to say. But yeah, I do just try to be kind of conscious, I suppose, of how much I say and all this stuff. Because, yeah, it makes it easier for me to edit in one way, but then in another way it makes it harder because I have to leave in everything. Which isn't something I would ordinarily do, is leave in everything. Normally trim out a few bits of kind of boring conversation or whatever, and then only keep in the bits that I thought were interesting, or where I'm explaining something that I haven't really gone over a bunch of times before. Okay, so that's all that stuff, which means there's very little I have left to do. Actually, no, I should switch these and then take that off instead. But yeah, we're nearly done now. Just gotta throw on the I've got to do the light line and sign it first. So I'll sign it first and then I'll do the light line. Which means I need to get out the white, which I will also use for the light line. So yep, that's all good. Now we gotta do the night line. Before we do that, actually, I should put in the border. All the other Batman characters that I've drawn have had them, so I might as well keep that consistent. Now, there's our light line. So, next thing that I need to do is I need to draw the texture. I'll do that. Or no. No, I'll put on the gradient map first, actually, that'll be quicker. And then I'll grab the texture. So, we will do layer, new adjustment layer, and then gradient map. Now, let's see, overlay. That's a bit much. Soft light. That's usually what we go for. This needs to be 60%. And then, yep, it's an improvement. It doesn't, oddly enough, affect that yellow all that much. Or no, it makes it a bit brighter. Okay, so now we need to grab the texture. We'll do that very quickly. Actually gotta go over onto my... run through a folder here to find it now. It's not as simple as just clicking open a different Photoshop file to put it in. Now flip that, rotate it. Bigger. Yeah, I think the texture definitely improves it a little bit. Maybe if I feel like it's getting too much of the stuff on her face there. It's getting maybe making like weird blotch looks on her face, which isn't what we're going for. So maybe do the horizontal. Maybe that'll look a little better. Maybe flip vertical. There we go. There's no kind of blotches now near your face, which is good. Okay, so that I believe is us. That is the whole thing done, more or less. And that was a 2 hour and 10 minute one, so that wasn't a short one, as I would have liked. But yeah, as I kind of already said, we didn't really go over much. I did go into detail though about the redesign stuff, and yeah, my kind of rationale for how everything works, and to talk about the kind of the practicality of things, and then what is appropriate for the character as opposed to maybe what's more practical and stuff like this. Excuse me. But yeah, and that was the kind of bulk of what we went over. We touched a little bit on a few other things, I think. But yeah, I talked a bit about hair, I think. But yeah, so yeah, as I said before, there will not be one of these next week. There'll be one the week after. So next week is a brief hiatus before I am back. But so thank you for watching. I haven't actually recorded one of these in a little while, so I don't really remember the full outro anymore. So what was it? It was, yeah. Thanks for watching. I believe was an element of it. Like if you want, and all that stuff. Subscribe and so on. But yeah. I really don't remember it at all actually now. I think the last part was something like bye bye.